Hello, my name is P2G. I am a Masters player with a few counts in Diamond, and they all started right where you are, right down in Gold. So I'm going to do a little VOD review, hopefully give you some tips and tricks to climb, and yeah. So I'm going to turn your volume down a little bit because there's a lot of talking. So you do use your comms a decent amount. That's good. You could definitely use them more, giving callouts like Monkey, I'm going to give you bubble, or Genji, I have bubble, you know, stuff like that, or I don't have bubble. Just giving people an awareness of your cooldowns would probably help them play and help you play. Team comp wise, I like this pick. It works well with pretty much everyone. You can ult or you can bubble the Reaper when he's ulting, you can bubble the Genji when he's ulting, you can bubble the Winston when he dives in. It's just overall pretty good. It works really well with your healers. So overall I'd say Zarya was a pretty good pick. She's decent on this map. Roadhog is also quite good on this map, but I wouldn't say he synergizes quite as well with the rest of your team. So that's my first little piece, I guess you would say. It gets a little choppy on and off here. I don't know if that's you or me. So this is fine. So something you need to keep in mind a lot as Zarya is the way it's been described to me. I don't play a ton of her, but I do know some of her basics. Is your personal bubble is what you should really be using to gain a lot of the charge that you get. There you just stood too close to the edge. They have a Reaper and a Hog, so I mean a Pharah and a Hog, so you really want to kind of stay away from the edge of the well as much as you can. But as I was saying, your personal bubble has a shorter cooldown than your like protection bubble for your teammates. So you really want to use that. Yeah, it gets choppy right here. These from frame drops. So right here you walk into this trap. You do that a few times. I don't know if you're not seeing them or if you're trying to get charged, but just destroy them. You can get charged easier than that. But as I was saying, personal bubble for charge. You should use the other one, the protection bubble for your teammates. You should use that to protect your teammates as much as you can, because that has a much bigger impact. If you see someone get hooked, you see someone about to get booped, your shield will deny that boop from like a Pharah or even a Roadhog hook won't get hit. So right there, you just wasted it. It wasn't gonna protect anyone. Then another time when you walk straight into it, I don't know if you're just trying to get charged or what, but it's not. It's a very risky play. It's very easy for you to die. You're lucky your Winston had a good bubble there. It kind of seems like your reactions are a little bit slow. Like you see that and you kind of slowly walk away from it. But that's like a little thing. You hear the Pharah is like right next to you, so you're gonna either want to get inside or start shooting at her. Your laser does have a pretty long range, so kind of keep that in mind while you're playing this too. You're kind of standing close to the well. You did back up so you didn't get booped, but you could see what she was trying to do. Your tracking's okay. It could definitely be better. You can do more reliable damage. I think you only get like one grab this whole fight or this whole game, which is not great. Yeah, there you're just kind of standing in the open. You just stood in the open and let fire rain death from above on top of you, which is not great. And here you walk away from point, don't know why. With Zarya, I know a very important thing is even if you do have charge or don't have charge, when you're at range like this, shoot your right click into the spam, into the choke. There you probably could have had better reaction time to bubble the Winston. You could have saved his life and gotten you a lot of charge. You got the self bubble, but again, that's just for your own charge. The other one should be for protecting people. So here you get your ult, but you get hooked because you stand kind of close to the well without your bubble. You always have to be aware of your cooldowns and the enemy cooldowns. So that one is just purely positioning. You didn't have your bubble. Roadhog came in. You haven't seen him use hook, so he probably has it. And you just have to be careful of his hook. So yeah, and you just want to make sure, kind of like what you were just doing, just always be right-clicking onto point, trying to get as much ult charge as fast as possible because you have one of the strongest ults in the entire game. So here you just walk in, your whole team's dead. You still had points, so you had a few more seconds before you had to do that. You also have the game-winning ult in your pocket right now, so if you had stayed back a little bit, waited for your team, you had a few seconds to contest. You're not the one that should contest anyways. It should be one of the mobile characters. So you should have stayed back there, waited for your healing, waited for your team, waited for them to group up, and then ulted on point and gotten the cleanup and the wipe. So you guys are also asking for, I think, Genji to swap off and do hit scan, which I understand. They have a Pharah. You can play around her. You could go D.Va. D.Va's actually a much better counter. She's a little harder, but if you just smother a Pharah as D.Va, she can't do anything. You can kill her fairly quickly. As well, Reaper is worse against Pharah than Genji is. Genji at least has a chance to do damage to her and to fight her, whereas Reaper really doesn't at all. So he leaves. I don't know. You guys, like, might be a little bit of a toxicity thing. You weren't, like, toxic, although I wouldn't say you were overly nice. You could try to be a little nicer, because some people take that poorly and leave a game, like this guy has, apparently. So this is kind of okay. Ideally, you want to be as high ground as possible to get Pharah. Focusing Mercy's fine, but you really don't want to be standing still when they have a Roadhog and a Pharah. You definitely, even if you're shooting at someone, you want to be moving around. And a Junkrat, you know, they have the perfect team. I mean, you just saw Genji do it too. You definitely never want to stand around, especially as against projectile heroes like what they're playing. So having a lever definitely puts you at a heavy disadvantage. You also went single tank. Yeah, you survived that. Don't know how Anna died to that. But did he come back? Is he back now? Anyways, so now you're single tank, which is fine. You're doing all right. I mean, you're playing the counter pick. Technically, Widow is a better counter pick, but she's much harder to play. That was just another time you were too far forward. Team wasn't there. They have Roadhog hook. You get hooked, you die. No shields, no anything. Okay, so the guy came back. He's playing tank now. That's good. That was one of those times you should have just waited for your team. There's a lot of trickling. Again, you're playing very forward now compared to your team, and especially as you get to higher elos, they're going to exploit that a lot more. They're going to pick you. There's a trap right there on the ground. I think you just need to work on your awareness, honestly. You've walked into a lot of traps. You're not really aware of where everybody is, what's going on exactly around you. Instead of standing right there, you could have run to the right, giving yourself a better angle, trying to get to your healers, give them some charge. It's okay, but again, standing still, really want to get used to not standing still while you shoot. There's lots of drills I'll talk about at the end to help you do that, but it just makes you an easy target for almost everyone on their entire team. So here you're getting shot from behind from D.Va. So with D.Va, you definitely want to be fighting her a little further away. This is okay, honestly, the jump thing. Anna doesn't have the greatest awareness for whatever reason, but with D.Va, you definitely want to play more at a medium range because she can't damage you much and you can shred through her. You see a D.Va to your right. Honestly, shooting Mercy like this is a fine time to use your ult. Right now, you're not killing her, I promise. Especially from that range with your drop-off. That's not going to do anything. Soldier and McCree ult are two of the strongest ways to counter Mercy ult in the game right now. So in that situation, it might have been good for you to use that, just to counter it. So again, standing still, you're really lucky you didn't get hooked right there. A better hog would have. Positioning right now is fine. See the tire, nice, good job killing it. That's a really important thing to do, is killing tire, killing Genji when he's in ult. A lot of people run away from all that. Sometimes you should, but sometimes you should just try to kill it if you can't get away. This is an okay ultimate. They kind of have a good angle to run away on you from, but you do zone them. Although it is kind of an overuse of your team's ultimates, you use 3 just to hold it. But it is also the end of the point, so it's acceptable. You might have wanted to hold yours for like right at the end to make sure anyone that had to get on point, they had to be in your sights and they had to die. But it's not a huge deal. That's just a slight old timing thing. So yeah, I'd say your positioning isn't awful. You do go into the team a little quicker than the rest of your team. You need to wait back a little more, let your tanks engage first, create the space for you to do damage. You need to practice moving while you shoot rather than standing still, because you might be able to get away with it now, but as people get better and better, they're definitely not going to be standing still while they shoot, and they're going to be killing you basically while you're standing, because you're an easy target if you're standing still, especially someone like Roadhog, Junkrat, Vara, anyone like that. Standing still target is a free kill for them. So that's definitely something I would say most importantly you should work on. Staying with your team there, you kind of went to the right and left them, but you got back with them, so it's alright. Again, see, standing still, free kill for Junkrat. I know it's hard to shoot while you move, but that's, you know, that's part of the game. Right now I wouldn't focus on D.Va, I'd get Pharah, she's close enough for you to be able to deal with her. Good job waiting for your tank to go first. Now it's winnable. Now back up with your team, playing in front of your tanks, and you definitely don't want to be doing that. Shield breaking's fine. Again, you're starting to play up a little more. Your tanks are going in though, so it's okay, but now you're completely alone, and I think you're gonna die. You're very close to. So now, yeah, you're completely alone. You didn't follow your team at all, and that's why you got killed. You almost got away, but D.Va came around the side and got you. If you had just stayed with your team a little better, you think of yourself kind of like a catapult or like artillery. You should be behind the front line, the shields, the tanks, and you should just be shooting and dealing damage from behind them where you're protected. You mean your tracking with soldier isn't awful. It could definitely be better. You seem fairly comfortable with your sensitivity, but practicing aiming while you're moving and stuff would definitely help that. That definitely adds another challenge. So definitely don't stand still in the open. I think you were just adjusting something, but still it's a good thing. So that's another awareness thing. With headphones in, you should be able to hear she's right there. You also shouldn't probably be standing right there. Shooting there is really risky because you can't see what's behind you, so anyone could have been behind you. This time it happened to be Lucio, could have been Roadhog, could have been almost anyone else in the game. So that's kind of a... You didn't even check before you started shooting at her. You did have the bubble, but that's a pretty weak bubble. That's kind of just another awareness and checking space around you thing. You want to make sure you're checking space. You want to know where everyone on your team is and where everyone on the enemy team is at all times. If you don't know that, it just makes a lot of the plays that you go for really, really unsafe and really super, super risky and probably not worth it at the end of the day. This is an okay perch. You can shoot in from them up here. They do have a lot of line of sight blocks, but you can at least do stuff. Farah's coming from the right. Another time where you're kind of standing still again. She kills herself on you, but if you had been moving, because her rockets have a travel time, you can dodge those or at the very least mitigate the amount of damage they're going to do to you. If you see one's coming to your right, move to your left. See one coming to your left, move to your right. It won't do as much damage. You can get more shots off. As you're tracking her while you do that, you can probably kill her before she gets a third one off, depending on range. Also doing the first trigger finger on a soldier rather than holding it down because it does bloom. It gets harder to hit. Do 3 shots, and aim for the head best you can. You can kill a Pharah very quickly doing that. You've been holding your ult for a really long time. There hasn't been a great time you could use it, but you get it pretty quick. So I don't know about holding it for almost the entire game. Your Pharah's already gotten 2 ults off, and they've both been pretty big. I mean, sometimes it's good, but you have a much more aggressive ult than some people do. That was good movement. That was a good tracking, good movement. If you can consistently do that while you move, you'll be fine. Honestly, this right here, this would be when I would ult. Just make sure anyone trying to touch the point can't get there. It didn't matter, but that's what I would have done. Alright, I'm just gonna watch that one. But or just make a VOD on that one. I watched the others as well. But I would just say practice aiming while moving. You can do this by going into a custom game, making it 6 anabots, making it headshot only. You can play soldier, you can play whoever you want, really. And then just practice moving while you shoot and hitting them in the head. Just moving all the time while you're aiming and get used to tracking like that. You could make it even one opponent and make them have a lot of health, like a monkey with no mobility abilities, but he walks around, and you just keep moving around while you shoot at the monkey, something like that. Or just practice it in quick plays. You can practice it in ranked, get better and better. That would definitely help you. Knowing when to use your ults is also important for you, both with Zarya and Soldier. Knowing when you can counter ults, when not to use your ults, like if a D.Va's in your face, don't use either of those ults. Stuff like that would definitely be useful. Those are kind of short rounds, so there weren't many great opportunities for you to use them, but especially in that very first round, if you had held back, you could have turned the entire fight with your ults. So that's something to keep in mind. Awareness. I think you really need to work on the awareness, making sure you see when traps are on the ground. You walked into like, I think 5-ish traps, which is a lot. And a lot of them weren't sneaky. You saw them and walked into them deliberately. I'm not sure if it was completely deliberately or trying to get charge or whatnot, but it's pretty much not good to make yourself stand in place ever. So being aware, making sure your headphones are loud enough that you can hear where everyone is, not standing in super open spaces against a Pharah. Try and have cover, or at least be close to cover with Pharah, or else she can just kill you very quickly as any character. On well, being careful not to be too close to the edge of the well with Roadhog and with Pharah on the other team. So just kind of understanding what they can do to you and knowing how to play around that is definitely something. It's important for everyone, but it's something that would help you climb as well. So yeah, that's it. I'll get this encoding and send it out to you hopefully sometime tonight.